offensive-sided and should be quite interesting when it comes down to it, especially for Crest's sake, as they'll be starting on that respective end.
And it was so in NIP's game yesterday, 5-1 half they achieved on the attack, but Crest starting on the attack this time, NIP starting on the defense. Didn't get to see a whole lot from their game on the defense against Sandbox again because it was so quick. We will at least hopefully see some interesting fare now that NIP have 6 rounds to play with on this defensive side. NIP not big fans of the Ying so far this tournament. Pretty consistent ban in all of the games they played, and honestly for a team that likes to play a bit more methodical, a bit slower playstyle, Ying is the exact operator you don't want to be playing against when you're defending.
Yeah, most definitely not. Gridlock also going to come through here. And honestly, a great ban when it comes to Chalet, especially nowadays with the addition of the frag grenades. That just makes it to where she's a heck of a lot more playable. So should be a pretty fun set on the offensive perspective. We're also going to get rid of Fenrir here for the defense to start things off. So making quite a bit of sense so far through the ban phase.
For the attack, though, it does leave up Finka, that other key nade operator that Muzi's been playing quite a bit of. Now, Finka's kind of taking the role of like the Yana, like you could ban it and it could be crazy, but because she was so pivotal and so key to so many lineups, you don't know how well you can play around her, and it seems for some teams Finka is taking that same spot where it would be a great ban and would really target Muzi on NIP, but do you really want to deprive that operator for yourself? No, and in this case the Gridlock goes down, and for Chalet, we actually see the Fenrir taken off instead of, say, a Solus or a Valkyrie. A zombie, pretty standard, but without those F-nods, it should be a lot easier for Crest to take map control and take fights to some NIP defenders.
Yeah, most definitely. You know, it really just banks on the fact of what Crest can do on this offensive set and what their setup is going to be. We haven't got to see Crest on Chalet just yet, obviously, so it's really going to be down to what they want to lean into for their operator lineups, what they want to lean into for their clears, because I mean, originally when Chalet got reworked, right, we saw a lot of people trying to favor different things, figure the map out for themselves, and one of the mainstay things that we notice is that, well, first things first, Solarium doesn't work all that well, right?
No, it's very difficult.
We see some teams still go back to that well every once in a while when, you know, matters become worse, but, you know, it just really comes down to a region thing, a team thing, as to how these kind of things go, so I want to keep this book really wide for Crest before we get down to the nitty-gritty.
It's a type of take where your utility clearing, your coordination really needs to be on point, and if it's anything less than that, you're really going to struggle and get stuck on that side of the map. And to be fair, NIP are typically a very well-coordinated team when it comes to some of these early rounds, so they could make it work, but once they get to the attack, we'll best play it safe. Seems like Crest right now as well. Yet to see what they fully decide where they want to push the map. We got some presence over on the solar side. 2 different players at the moment, all hanging out by that area. The rest of NIP's defense as well also been scattered.
Psycho will be holding on to blue here. Muzi in tow, as well as Tiobi out on the far end. Trying to assist things here. The offense being clearing things out. It's going to be mostly centralized around Ego as well as the Master tag. We got Whiskey coming in. Should have a dope call matched up with that, and they will. So make things fairly straightforward when it comes to their info clear. Muzi's going to be downstairs, but doesn't really have anybody in the ballpark for himself right now. Cons is actually downstairs as well. So looks like they're going to be trying to slowly peel things back as Nip really trying their damnedest to hold on to this mid-floor.
There's one player over all the way by Fireplace that Whiskey has a beat on. Psycho around the short position, also looking to keep Crest contained to the dining room right now. It is a basement attack. We'll see Lua drop down to the bottom floor. Need to use some of this hard breaching. We've got the Thermite and the X-Kairos to open up a lot of these different angles. There's 2 different soft walls on the walls you'd think Crest would try to breach. So a very aggressive stance taken by NIP, looking to deny wine control by Crest for just about 30 to 40 more seconds. Cons in particular with a shotgun. Crest really have to be careful. Flashes go in. He'll detonate the smoke as he'll lose his line of sight. No pocket reinforcements though. This hole will remain open.
Well, it's been slow moving for Crest so far, but this is somewhat what we expected, especially with Ninjas in Pajamas playing the map control in the way that they did. It made it to where Nip was able to slowly wing Crest onto the map. Now they're right at the gates, but they have to deal with quite a bit of utility. Cons has already burned through his, though, so at least they're in good time on this. Some nitro cells to worry about, too, and by some, I mean quite a few, actually. We've got 3 in the pockets of Ninjas in Pajamas, so a lot of artillery to try and deal with with this strike coming in from Crest.
Oh, big pickup by Eclair right there. Khan's cut down on the close angle inside of red. And again, this hole is open, so they've got an entry point. Psycho's got to aggressively contest this. But the utility clear by Crest is very much landing. Able to open up a lot of these different positions, but a bit too late by Tiopi. Psycho regains his vision, but then pushes far too deep into red. Claire's able to shut him down. They've got a spot to plant behind this column. Muzi with the C4, Pino on the other side too. They go out at the exact same time. One lands right as it needs to. Whiskey's picked up one, but he's got to push fourth. No opportunity to go for the plan. He checks the wrong corners, got the intel now. Pino's a bit quicker with that one. First round goes to NIP.
Well done, Nip. Gonna lock things down, and already a lot of energy on this bench as well. And that's what you want to try and carry through a long series like what we are about to get into here. Only the first round under our belt so far, but a very solid understanding of the way that you want to try and handle things on this map. Although, you know, going about things in kind of a different way as to what we normally see. Quite the roam game there initially by Ninjas in Pajamas that they're able to peel back towards site. Yeah, they eventually start losing some bodies, but not really because of that. All on Khan's really swinging into red there, and then things kind of devolve for a bit, but able to essentially get things done when it mattered most.
Overall, was a decent showing from Crest, at least for a little bit. Might have a bit of a tech pause right now, figuring out what's going on, but Crest, their slow attacks not serving them, especially as NIP with a good read. Even though you had, I think, some individual missteps. Psycho, for example, hitting that re-peak. Not really Khan's necessarily staying too long, but definitely getting caught out inside of red. I think the strategy was still overall very sound from NIP. All right, we know our team likes to attack slow. We know they take their time. So if we give them these little mini games that they've got to figure out, they've got to work a little bit more to take the red hull, a little bit more to take dining, or at least feel uncomfortable in that area, should end up forcing them into a position where they don't have enough time to execute, and it's all going to come down to 50-50s, where NIP, with players like Muzi, like Pino, or even Khan's in that particular position, can often outgun, get a man advantage for NIP going into the execute. So solid strategy to win some of these Chalet defenses that I think should be easily replicable on future bomb sites. Though Crest, I will say, very, very close to the wire there, and still able to find a way inside of the bomb site is very admirable.
Well, it also just goes to show you how solid patience can work out for you in Siege, right? Ninjas in Pajamas, a very patient team, but eventually they start to get a little bit more aggressive because they think these players are going to just start moving in. But Psycho, a perfect example of that, as he pushes out red and gets completely caught off guard. I think that we have somewhat of a mirror matchup in that way, where it's just going to be both of these teams doing their damnedest to try and trip up the other.
I mean, it's two slow teams, and this is in a group of four. Everyone, I would say, is probably slower than a lot of the average at the tournament, or especially amongst what you think. I mean, NIP, slower than the region. Crest, slower than the region. Sandbox, they're their own thing, of course. But
they're their own region.
Yeah, they are their own region. They actually are pretty representative of Korea overall. It's just Korea kind of a slow attacking region. But then Geekay, even then, I'd say maybe they're the fastest out of the group, but they certainly take their time. They're not running out, maybe noodle every now and then. But overall, the Group A has been a team of step by step, angle by angle, position by position, taking their time.
Consistency.
Yeah, consistency, breaking things down into bite-sized pieces and taking them as they go. So the playstyle overall has been fairly similar with some slight variations. Where NIP decide to go after this, of course, is the big question, as they have won the bomb site that usually necessitates the biggest roam on Chalet that needs the most aggressive position taken. And even then, they had some players around bar, but they weren't extending all the way into dining or roaming, having people on that second floor for far too long. Now it theoretically should be a bit simpler for NIP for how they set up the bomb sites.
Most definitely. I think the only thing that kind of falls into the same basket is got to be games and bar, because you have to worry about the position up top in library, right? But past that, I totally agree with you. I definitely think that the basement necessitates players on that mid to top floor and playing things out like Nip did, slowly peeling things back. It reminds me of the old SSG roams on Clubhouse, right? You want to try and hold that map control, waste as much time as possible, whilst also keeping man advantage or man count equal. It's a tall task, but somebody's got to do it.
Remember when we saw the SSG roam first debut and we were like, this is a game changer?
In that moment, I was like, this game is so cool. Like, I was like, this is so damn cool. Dude, and I know for a fact that the first time that went off, I almost said Laxing. Oh my gosh, why is his name Lycan? I was like, Lycan was just escaping me there for a second, but either way, yeah, exactly. But yeah, I know Lycan was gleaming the first time that worked out, because you could tell the amount of elbow grease they put into that thing.
All right, we should be getting back into the game now as the fist bumps are underway. By the way, if you have two monitors or have two tabs you can open. I believe the B stream is just getting back underway with Tag and Bleed, the elimination match of Group B.
Oh yeah, it's definitely happening.
Yes.
I could hear in Intero.
Certainly, right as we get back into the game, I hear, "Hello everybody, welcome to the." And so I was like, "Oh, Parker's probably talking." That'll do it, won't it?
Probably. I only know one person in the entire world that sounds like that.
Yes. I do a great impression, don't I? But we are thankfully back in our game. 1-0 NIP if you are just now tuning in. They won the basement bomb site. Came down to a 1v1, but a one that NIP ended up winning. They moved to the master bedroom and office position, and this is one that the defense really has very limited options, right? If you're gonna play close, you need to hold piano, black wall, bathroom, contest solar. If you're gonna play far, you can go to library, but not much farther than that.
Yeah. And if you're gonna hold down library, you need a really solid strategy in order to do it over there.
Often with an Azami, which is banned.
Yeah, often with a Azami, you'll usually have the Miras in there, some Omai discs to toss in on top, and probably a Jaeger to pair things up just to make sure your sight's also held down. Because if you don't, Carter, then, I mean, anybody with a brain looks at that site and goes, oh, we just hit the site. All right, cool. You know, and it's just like, you guys are all the way in Egypt, and I am planting in your site. So, fortunately enough, though, won't have to even worry about that. They will have to worry about some of these longer angles, though, for Crest's sake, as they'll open up a couple of things for themselves. Don't have the glass in tow that sometimes we see out on that old terrace balcony thing, but...
Something else we don't see all that often. 6 nades for Crest. 4 nades for Crest.
You want to talk about caster timing right there.
I love this job.
Man.
I love this job so much. But seriously, though, I mean, like, obviously TOP's dead, but, like, how did you see 6 grenades? Even though they net added them to operators, it's been a lot of one-op, maybe 2. We had 6, but now Lua might very well lose his supply as well.
A little harder to work in. I will say this, though. There is some really unique operators that do have frag grenades right now. The one that I kept, like, slipping my mind was Nook, even though I clearly know that frag grenades are on this op. It's one of her mainstay bread and butter things, Psycho!
There you go.
Hey, man, that would be fantastic if you were a catcher in the MLB, but not for Siege. This is not working out. Crest, 2 big pickups, one via cannon fodder and the other via lead. Well done from them. The patience showing in kind as to what can be done right now. I don't know if we were going to have that push in there for McClary. He was worrying me for just a second with how he was pressuring that door, but either way, trying to get a good read on what's going on inside of the site. They do that soft wall to the right that he's looking at trying to deal with too, but with so much time left on the clock, there is a lot that they can do with their current positioning.
This is going to require a little bit of an overperformance from NIP. I mean, they still have key positions. Wizard close on this breach and this doorway. NIP can still contest piano as well, but somebody's got to get a kill in one of these spots. They cannot give up any more control inside of the bomb side. That's a good way to start. That's a good kill to make this a 3v3. The office balcony player now cut down. Khan's also somehow holding out as the storm barrels into piano. Lua just holding the breach now as the attack has collapsed around him on the heaven balcony. He knows someone's on that doorway. That's where Wizard began the undoing of this round. He'll push in, land the pre-fire, but Khan's playing the contact just as you should. NIP move up 2-0.
I'm so impressed with this clash of personality that we're having in between these two teams, you know? Like, the patience on both of these squads and the way that these interactions are going, especially for Crest there. I mean, Ninjas in Pajamas are just getting them by that one square. That's it, man. Just by a little bit right now. But it just goes to show that this strategy is so sound. You know, it's working well for Crest. They're getting good openings. They're getting good utility usage out of that early game. It's just these late round situations where Ninjas in Pajamas are able to utilize that mechanic ability and are really able to pull it back across the line.
Yeah, it's that recognition of the situation, right? That, all right, if we have so little map control and they have so much time and an advantage, we've got to get aggressive. We need to hold on to what we have and fight for it actively. And that's exactly what Khans and Wizard did. That's exactly how they ended up winning that round. Khans even do a little bit of a lesser extent, as he had the deployable shield to sit behind, whereas Wizard has a bit of pressure to get aggressive and peek that office door. Khans still had that shield to play a bit more passively behind and still get both of those kills, and ended up working out. So now NIP move up 2-0. They will move down to barn games that we mentioned earlier, where you need to hold that library position and not just hold it loosely. The two kind of variations are you hold library and hard hold mezzanine, or you also put someone inside of library, inside of that death spot, and with the dock on the board.
Ho, ho, ho. Hold on.
What?
Slow things down real quick. We got a lot going on here with this operator lineup for Crest. We got the Sense in. We got TOP on Glass. We got Nomad. Nades in. Oh, actually, no. Stuns on Whiskey.
No nades.
Yeah, yeah. Yana got her nades pulled, right?
No, yeah, she did.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't tripping. All right, cool. Anyways, so with that being said, though, that does signify that Crest is going to be going for a games execute. There's not really another spot that you want to try and use this kind of an operator lineup. But we, you know, crazier things has happened in the past. They could try and go for a full clear still, even dedicated to this operator lineup. But you can clearly see that TOP really wants to try and abuse this game's window.
But they know at this point, I think they've spotted Wizard inside of Library because they start rotating up, and if they don't do anything, if they just have Cyrenaica sit on this window, Wizard can look through the hatch and deny the planet. Look, now Cyrenaica hops in.
Really?
I get the pressure to take down this dock. I think they recognize the right opportunity, but they're going about it the wrong way. But this is a symptom of the lineup. With no nades, what else are you going to do?
Yeah, there's no Capital. There's nothing to dislodge the player here. And the worst, I mean, worst comes to worst, right? I mean, you get Wizard tagged up. He just stims himself once again once, you know, he's in cooldown time. So just really difficult for Crest right now. And honestly, I mean, it really just feels as though if you don't have the answer to that top floor, just don't address it. Just go for it, smoke it, try and just toss as many light screens as everything in there, make it as messy as possible, and then just try and get the plant down. Because, I mean, you're more than likely going to lose the round this way anyways by going for this full clear. Things are just going to get really muddy, Carter. I'm really worried about this.
Well, now, at this point, Crest have full rotated off that bar angle. They've all entirely surrounding the office position or heaven. This is essentially just a normal clear chalet with far less utility, no explosives really to speak of on the side of Crest. But also, more importantly, you're down Cyrenaica. You're down that Nomad. You're down a set of flashes. No advantage gained over NIP. Utility being burned at rapid speed. EE1D's gone. Oh! But Wizard domed inside of Library. Now, Psycho backs off, knowing that the dock is lost, gives up the top floor because they know with only 35 seconds left, Crest are really short on time. One player was flanking, but hops back down. Pino cuts down Whiskey, though. Playing on the Library stairs as the Yana attempts to push down. Lewin now finds himself back on this bar window, but no case to speak of. That's Eclair. They'll need to drop down the bar hatch. Plenty of ROUs in pocket. Plenty of ability, though.
Not going to work out too well for him. The light screen's going to fall back down, but it's not going to break up any of the lines of sight that they were actually worried about. Lua has to get going now. 8 seconds remaining, but they need this light screen to get up. Nobody's being active. Eclair, he drops down at possibly the worst moment, all because Lua really isn't ready. He wasn't even in the window yet. It's going to hit 0-0, and Pino will pull off the Creed, drop to the hatch, descend from the sky, and assassinate the man putting the case down. Ninjas in Pajamas, once again, resting on their strategy, resting on their abilities when it comes to holding down things here on Chalet, and it's going swimmingly for them right now.
Fortunately for Crest, I mean, they just committed too hard to that rush strategy, and I think it would have been, you know, we've seen Sen strategies, Glass strategies, those are common. They shouldn't be faulted for trying to go for that, but they had no options, it seemed, to deal with that dock inside of Library. And for Crest, I mean, that's a really common position to play on Library.
Pause. They had a Nomad, right?
They did, yes. That was Cyrenaica tried to hop in the window and died.
Okay. All right. So now I actually do have a problem with this, because why didn't we just burn things over the top and air jab the position where Doc is, where he has to split his decision making?
Yes.
I actually do have a problem with that.
So that, and that's a very good point. But at the end of the day, that was their only option, really. Because again, no Capitao. No nades.
Nope.
Nothing really to deal with that spot. But at the same time, you don't even need to go for the kill in that spot, right?
Nope.
It's very rare for that player in that corner to full die. You just need to push them down the hatch, and then they're okay to go for the execute. But you are correct, though. They could have gone for the air jab if they wanted to, forced him back down the hatch, but there was no attempt made. No real attempt made. Cyrenaica just tried to hop in the window, and then I think he got down by the Frostmat even.
Carter, if I remember my angles correctly, I'll be real, I haven't played in a little while, been taking a little bit of a break from my Siege escapades, playing some single player stuff and stuff like that. But about 90% positive that double window, you can actually see the bookshelves, like front facing side, not Doc's position, but the actual front facing part of it. I'm about 99% positive you can just lock him in that corner with an air jab. I really am.
You could, but the risk there at that point is you could have somebody on mezzanine who could just shoot that air jab.
No, it's very, very true. But I'm saying just for like the rush route right at the beginning, it's like, oh, okay, we solved this, we popped this here, and just let it go.
I see what you're saying.
Just let it rock.
Either way, point being,
absolutely.
Still not a lot of utility there for Crest to figure out. And now NIP up 3-0. won that bar site.
It's the ADHD, man. I can't let it go. I'm like, I must find the solution.
I like it. I like it. I like going nitty-gritty. Plus, thankfully, both these teams, they tend to be a bit on the slower side, so you and I have a bit of a buffer to deep dive like that. Though, some shots exchanged early on. TOP with that Osa Talon shield out. Gets a couple bullets in her toes just to put down the Talon shield in response. It's a dining defense. I think that's all 4 bomb sides played at this point.
It is indeed, my friend. Electro-Claw, but Eclair heard it. To pull this off immediately. I think he was low-key worried about somebody down low as well. Might have been a pre-fire over towards the main stairs or something like that, but nobody even in that zip code. So I think we'll at least have to worry about things down the line for Ninjas in Pajamas if they want to try and go for a rotation. But as of now, smooth sailing for Crest in their attempt to get the wall open for study.
Half the round gone. Needed to open up the office wall. Now they have to move down below. EMP goes out. Electro-Claw tricking these exothermics is nigh impossible, and you basically need to predict the timing perfectly, let alone land it. And it's not going to happen for Cons. No fault of his own, but now both the walls Crest needed opened up. And at this point, we've only got a minute left. Full clearing the top floor, at least even half clearing it, not really a possibility. Crest need to just station someone on the doorway, on the wall, just to keep NIP at bay as they move in for the plant later.
This is going to be Crest's probably best attempt at getting around here right now. Yeah, and that's a big issue. The thing is that Ninjas in Pajamas really don't have the utility to be able to shut down a plant right now if crosses get set up and smokes go out, but they do have the verticality up here, and that's the worrisome thing. They're going to be able to play over the top of the breach, and that's more than likely going to be the round right there. Yep, Wizard's going to nip it right in the bud. And, I mean, it's all about map positioning, man. It really is. It just goes to show you. The utility from Nip, not all that great at shutting down a plant, but the angles are that they're holding.
15 seconds left.
Just poorly played from Crest, unfortunately. I mean, that Wizard's allowed to sit. That breach is open.
Yep.
That was the first breach they opened. About a minute 30 left in the round is when that office wall gets opened up. And where is Wizard sitting? If you're standing on the breach, Wizard is tucked behind that little quarter wall. So it's not like he's standing wide in the open, right? You need to do some work. But it's not like there's only long angles being held by the defense where they're all the way in solar or all the way in bathroom. He's right there. And there's 2 different attackers on the office doorway and on the breach who aren't communicating, who aren't working together to root that guy out of position. And that Wamai ends up countering the entire execute below. And there was simply no work done, no communication, no teamwork to deal with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you know, the frustrating thing is for Crest, and probably the thing that you know, their coach is talking about, is that they are legitimately like 1 or 2 solid moves away from being in endgame position.
They're like 80% there. Like
exactly. You know, you've played the London system very well, but now it's kind of collapsing. The London bridges are falling down.
Yeah, no, it's... And especially if NIP gets such a dominant result on this, you just got to think to yourself, if you're a viewer, if you're Crest, whatever, if this ends up being a 5-1-6-0 on Chile defense, you're looking at Crest thinking, well, why'd you let it through? If you can't deal with that Wamai playing on the vertical hole,
you can't deal with Doc and, you know, library.
You can't deal with the library position or adapt to that, something so common. Well, why'd you let NIP pick it? I mean, NIP, it's a best of 3. They're always going to get a map they're comfortable with, right? But a map that they 7-1 sandbox on, could have 7-0'd on, depending on what happened in that round. Why'd you let it through if you don't have these positions at least to counter when you have that VOD yesterday? Again, there weren't that many defenses, but still. Crest with that tactical timeout, they won't win this half. That's gone. But a 2-4, maybe they've got a chance on that Chile defense if they can win these next 2 rounds in a row, action some of those things mentioned in the timeout, and it's got to start here.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Carter, it's a really tall ask already for them to try and bring this back. 4 rounds straight on the defensive end of things. Crest have had an opportunity here and there to be able to patch things up in these rounds and at least get, I would say, potentially 2 rounds out of the last 4 we've seen. But Ninjas in Pajamas have bared teeth at the right time, the proper moments, and it's really been a thorn on the side of Crest so far. Past that, I'd say they match up on cadence at pretty, you know, solid level.
Yes.
So it's pretty interesting just to see the way that these 2 teams interact with each other. I just feel bad for Crest given the scoreline.
Ethiopia as well on this Nook, who Crest have expected to open up some of these rounds or some of these mid-rounds. 0-4 so far. Only one without kills at the moment on Crest. But Vintual found early on. Oh, man. Oh, man. Ace, the first death on the side of Crest. Hard breaching is not the most common on this site, but still opening up that left panel on the office wall is something that every team does. It's usually where you enter, move in, go for the bomb down. Not a possibility anymore. No remaining hard breaching. Still, again, the 6 nade strategy that Crest are going for, and a Dokubi call to work that with, too. A lot of utility, but a plant is really, really difficult.
Man, wouldn't a buck be great right now? Secondary hard breach, skeleton key for underneath of the office player.
Something like that.
Yeah, you know.
Nice.
Yeah. Beggars can't be choosers, though. Lots of frag grenades, and they can dislodge these players still, especially with Momai. As we all know, he gets those over time. So as of right now, they got to burn through like 2 or 3 of the discs. Won't be that big of an issue, but they still have to deal with the firepower, the true firepower of ninjas in pajamas whenever they want to actually swing into this play.
Wizard, first and foremost, playing on this doorway, close on what was the breach on the previous defense. Now, Lua maybe can walk over, sledge it open. They'll use a frag grenade instead, so there is a pathway into the bomb site now for Whiskey to hop in, go for this plant. It's all very slow, though. He's got this final call, and it needs to be used to get a kill, get the advantage back, or move in, acquire map control, force rotations out from NIP. They've got 50 seconds to play with, so they don't need to push this too far just yet. They can bide their time for a little bit. Got intel on somebody playing inside a bedroom as well. Oh, goes for the pre-fire. Muji damaged quite a bit. Tiopi gets his first. What a first it is, too. Piano opened wide up. Blackwall also taken down. Khans fights back so quickly, though. And the fire on NIP is uncontestable at times. But Khans and Muzi, though, look at how low they are. Just one DMR shot either way could give this Crest's first attacking round. He's got him pinned down, maybe. Just maybe. He'll back off. He has the diffuser, but not a lot of time.
15 seconds left.
Just one bullet is all he needs. Khans lets the bomb go down. Will he find Whiskey as he falls off? No, he doesn't even know. Again, just one bullet. That's all Whiskey needs. He's forced the rotation out from the Frost, but can he find him? He's playing this passively. He's playing this smart. Khans probing for intel. There's nothing. Not a single iota of information in his brain being relayed by his teammates. Just ideas, just theories. But time is dwindling down. Only about 15 to 16 seconds remaining before that diffuser is beyond the pale. Continuously relaying his information, his position to Whiskey. Now or never, Whiskey will slowly push up. Khans does not get the kill. Whiskey will get the round as the diffuser drops too far down. Crest get there first at the very least.
Ring around the rosy. There it is. Fantastic from Crest. And, I mean, just on all fronts there, both of these teams' patience really showing out, especially around that ego balcony play. Whiskey constantly just sitting there and biding his time. Crest make a great lunge towards Piano, able to get some really big kills, but it's shut down quickly by Khans. Khans having an opportunity, I will say. I think he just kind of got to that stick in the mud mentality at the end because of his health. Can't blame him on that one, right? Yeah, 1 HP, and even in transition, right? That case just goes down. If he chooses to try and like sprint across the room and make it somewhere else, there is a pretty high chance that guy's just holding an angle on him or something like that. So still, I mean, he did his due diligence, tried to clear as many angles as he could, but Crest finally getting the payoff that all of this buildup has been leading to.
Just got to convert it. Just got to convert it into that second attacking round, and maybe, just maybe, you have a chance to come back on NIP's map pick. It'll be Barn Games for our final site on the defensive half for NIP, the attacking half for Crest. And what do you know, Sam? Siren Echo has picked Capital. I wonder why that could be.
Beats the hell out of me, bud. Beats the hell out of me. Probably has something to do with your costume yesterday. Wizard.
Oh, gee, it's just...
You troglodyte. That means cave dweller, by the way, folks, for those of you that wanted a vocabulary lesson. So, whenever you want to move out of Indiana, how many caves does Indiana have?
We have a couple, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah?
I mean, listen, I've never been cave diving, so I can't say.
You're not a spelunker?
No, I'm not a spelunker, though Crest is certainly spelunking right now, trying to find something deep in the cave. Frag grenade goes out, but Wizard can keep healing, so these firebolts need to land. I think one actually misses. I'm not sure where it went. Second one goes out, though. Wizard can certainly survive this, though. He just
through the fire and flames, baby.
Right. Yep. Second one will go out.
Oh.
Now you can just barely time it, and the fire dissipates.
Nobody swings him.
And both nades gone from Tiopi as well. Wizard staying here, baby, but Pino certainly not.
Yeah, most definitely not. A nice find from them. Incredible that Wizard was able to completely get through that off the stim pistols, but that shows you just how solid of an op he can be in situations like this. Able to completely clear things out, and you really wish that things just kind of mirrored each other well when it came to that clear. Lou almost gets the flick. Psycho, emulating his name, oh my, flies through the hatch. I think he impacted that as well. Yeah. He did. This entire team is just downtrodden right now on HP.
All right, Wizard no longer able to stem himself back up. Psycho a little bit damaged. Ooh. Sireneko, just one smoke bolt remaining at this point. That is a graphical bug, as both firebolts have been used. But still, poor Uto clear on that library position has forced him into that spot where he doesn't have any firebolts remaining. Just the smoke to try and cut off an angle alongside those flashbangs from Eclair. Tiopi now rotating over as there are a couple defenders down on that bottom floor, but both are going to focus on that library, the fireplace position. West main, no, not a thought in their minds whatsoever. And this is a good rotation for Psycho as well on low HP. Holding a power position isn't really going to do. Maybe you can catch someone off guard. Tiopi, though, anticipates it.
Yeah, this is perfect patience. Well, the thing is for our boy Psycho over there is really what he wants to do is he wants to play extremely passively on main. Don't show face. Wait for them to try and take fireplace all, and as soon as they build up for that door, that's when you want to take the fight. Let everybody else deal with this verticality. Let them try and stay alive, and as soon as Whiskey or somebody jumps over, that's when we should see him activated. Tiopi's going to take down Muzi. Tiopi also takes out Wizard. Where is our man on the stairs? There he is. Psycho, take him out. It's up to Eclair and one more. It's going to be Psycho over inside of fireplace as he wraps around, but there's barbed wire here. It's going to be a big audio cue for him. Whips around, and then the other player will also get off of plant, Carter. They both cover the door. Very well done from Crest.
They got that 2-4. They got the minimum that they needed. Not minimum they needed in terms of what's good on Chalet, but just to stay alive, to have a chance on these defenses. Fate's still very much uncertain.
I love that from Louis. He's like, hey.
Come on. There we go.
There it is.
But Fate's still very much uncertain, moving into the side swap. Again, this was a 7-1 for NIP, and they didn't do it on their or 7 for NIP against Sandbox yesterday, and they didn't do it on their defenses. They got the 5-1 on their attacking side. So huge odds. Nice.
Jesus.
I want to see that.
Wow.
Nice.
Nice little adjustment from him right there. I'm just still so baffled that Crest had everything and the kitchen sink to throw at upstairs, and just because things were slightly desynchronized, it all fell apart. Wizard's just able to stand there with a stim pistol and get through the flames because no nade is in there to just add that extra 15 HP of damage.
Well, and also, the utility clear wasn't that great because one of the firebolts got caught by a magnet. Whereas if that second one goes in, one firebolt, you can survive with 2 stim pistols. 2 firebolts, you can't if they're timed properly. You need to retreat. So if you have a Capitao there and both firebolts land when they should, that's guaranteed to push Wizard back. They just didn't burn the magnets properly.
Yeah, which begs the question, why are we using the minimum amount of bodies in that position to try and get one of the most pivotal spots on that entire bomb site? The world may never know.
Who's to say?
How many licks does it take to get to the center?
I tried to count one day.
Nips. You did?
I was in a bowling alley. I had a Tootsie Pop. This shows you what kind of kid I was, by the way. I was sitting there, I was like, I wonder. I was like, 1, 2. I think I got to like 383 before I stopped counting.
You're like, that owl is a lion.
Well, he ate the Tootsie Pop, so I didn't eat it.
Well, you wanted your teeth.
That's true. I've got weak teeth. So
oh, no.
It wouldn't have gone well. But now we do have the side swap. NIP looking to attack the master bedroom and office bomb site. Is that his Crest decision? Solus unbanned, by the way. Sireneko decides to bring hers. I didn't see a lot of Solus play from NIP, or at least a lot of impactful Solus play if it was there. Also, some quick entries into the buildings. I believe someone is down below. It is Muzi on the Yana. I should have just assumed that, to be entirely honest with you. Loves these kinds of positions. But no nades, unfortunately, in that Yana anymore, so can't go fishing for anything. And besides, when you have Pino on the roster, who is always going for those nades and mostly landing them.
Ooh, that's not what you want for your Solus. What's this drone economy looking like from Nip, though? He's done a bang-up job, but now things are starting to fall off the wagon for Crest. Lots of time here for Nip, and this is honestly worrisome because we usually don't see Nip getting too aggressive until like the minute mark on their clears. A lot of info game, a lot of understanding what the defensive setup is before they start working their way in. They really enjoy playing maps from the outside of the building, Carter.
That's a bit of a worrying trend for Crest because you might get naded from below, and in some positions there's nothing you can do. But if Sireneko's going to be running around, NIP might get that pick. But Tiopi also running around, flanking up West Main, catches Pino off guard. That Dokkaebi call goes out. Don't see a lot of Dokkaebi from NIP. It only came in round 15 of Oregon yesterday before we saw her. They might have learned as round 7, the first of their attacks, it goes out. It might just be big. Wizard able to find one. Oh, but Whiskey domes the Dokkaebi on that very window. A little bit more freer to rotate around that area now that that bedroom window's gone. A little bit freer still as Whiskey gunning with the 9mm. Muzi, just domes him, ends his reign of terror. And this is a 1v2 on the bomb site as one's flanking up Solar. Muzi's so focused on what's in front of him that they might just not see the player behind him, but I think he's backed off. Eclair pushed up close on the bathroom doorway. No one directly countering this diffuser. Muzi now concerned. Will the castle have an opportunity? Oh, he falls off, but Eclair has lost Tiopi for support on Solar. This is all one-sided now, especially now that the kill's confirmed. Khan's panicking, though, on the soft bathroom wall. They are so concerned about putting this bomb down. Muzi needs to cover. He's not watching. Eclair, do you know? Just one couple bullets through the wall. Shoot Eclair! Something, anything! Well, he might just have that. He domes Muzi, and now it's a post plant. But Khans is backed off. He's in the wind. Eclair's now the one struggling for intel. An opportunity so close you could taste it, but he missed his opportunity. He sees the bomb, but not Khans. That's the problem. Drone knows he's there. It's identified the position, but no longer. He'll begin the defuse to bait Khans further back. A familiar situation for him now on the other side. Khans just has to bait just a little longer, force him off 1 or 2 more times, and Khans knows that that wall is soft. Khans knows when that player's on the bomb, and Khans does not let his man go.
Oh, man. It was right in his hands. It's right there. All he needed was the audio. If you could just hear him typing, and I think that's what it was, really. I think, just with the
comms going on.
Yeah, the comms going on, the music. Also, everybody always forgets that. The 15-second music is actually really influential for your conscious, man. And, especially in these anxious moments like this, you get that heartbeat in your head. Boom, 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 boom. It gets scary. And Eclair clearly shaken, not able to clutch things up in the way that he wanted to. And I mean, just has to shoot to the right of that hole in the wall by pixels. And he more than likely wins that round out. So very close from Crest, but we've seen that time and time again with them here up against Ninjas in Pajamas.
In the clutch, NIP able to move up 5-2, winning Master Bedroom in Office on their attacks. Crest, a little concerned. They will move down to Kitchen and Dining instead. And for a team that, so far in most of their matches, if you could criticize them for anything on their defensive side, it's the unwillingness to hold map control, the unwillingness to roam. On Clubhouse earlier against Geekay, that was a big issue. And now we just have solo players, Sireneko on the Solus now in the Valkyrie, just running around, just getting mobile, getting active. And I think a C4 from below to deal with the players in Office perfectly fine inside of the bomb site, or even inside a library, perfectly fine. But I don't want to see Crest just having one guy running around, because NIP could easily pinch that.
Absolutely. I mean, especially with how much time they dedicate early on into their rounds for setting up a drone matrix around. They want to make sure that they know where these roamers are and that kind of thing, and also partnering the Dokkaebi with that makes it to where your clear is so very easy. So looks like we're going to have the call in now to try and assist Pino on this push. He's going to be the one coming in from games, and he'll be operating on the Buck, something that we talked about a little bit earlier on. That can definitely be a useful operator, especially when it comes to Chalet. There's a lot of different ways you can break up flooring, some vertically, some more sledge-oriented, where you're just going top-down. So, see what goes on, though, for the rest of this, as Ninjas in Pajamas will hop in on the top floor. Khans will be the one operating the Monty this time around.
Just force Crest to, in a little bit of an uncomfortable position, make them a little concerned. Just always relate intel to the attack. It will definitely be useful on that piano position. As always, sometimes defenders just take refuge behind that wall, take refuge behind a deployable shield. It'll be useful for that position, or to push in for the bomb site later on. Half the round now gone. NIP need to begin opening these walls, and what do you know? That is exactly what they will do. Office wall now easy fodder for the attack. Once that new jammer's dealt with, there we go. Now you need to rotate down to the dining wall, do the same thing.
Okay.
I like this.
Yeah, I'm interested how he wants to try and slap this down. They've got some cool angles over here. Can't really do too much. Has some verticality to worry about, but Just to be able to transition to this top floor and see if they can pressure this defense back over towards Solarium. You can see Khan's constantly looking at the floor. He's worried about that verticality and if there's any potential holes under these door frames that he's going to try and waltz through. Has to try and crouch for this one, so he will have to slide the shield, but all's fair in love and war so far from NIP. They have done their due diligence on this top floor. They've pressured Crest off and now have created some space for they themselves to open things up and make it difficult to play under the bomb site.
Khan's going for the full wraparound, but so much time spent. That C4, one of them finally lands. Eclair taken down, though. Khan's, I think, peppering 2 different players. Eclair cut down, and Whiskey also losing a lot of HP. Khan's also spots the Valkyrie down below as Cyrenetko uses his C4.
There's one
Pressure
trophy.
anybody down Solar. Yes, there is somebody behind the display case. He doesn't check. Tiopi's now dropped the fuser right in front of him, and NIP have to go for the kills. Psycho finds one. They know the position of the Legion, but the Frost is unknown. 2 line up for the 9mm, and there's no time for Pino to win this back. Crest take their first defense.
Very well done from Crest, and it all banked on the fact of them peeling the play from the top floor away and playing on that mid floor. I especially love that layer that we saw over in Trophy. We don't see a lot of people, and especially modern day Siege, try and play like those little cheeky corner checks just because people are so good with their info game nowadays, and with something like Dokkaebi on the board, one phone call and you're done in the proper moment. So what a call from Tiopi there to lay in that position and make it matter the most when that Monty rolled through.
And also the decision of NIP kind of exposed them to that in the first place, because replace the Monty with an Osa, you're just going for a half clear. You're just going on that side, and you got to be concerned about the C4s, of course. That's something you need to be worried about, but maybe you're able just to get by with a bit smaller map control, but have more time to bait out those C4s and end up winning the round. But they go all the way. They go for big air in that round, move down the Solar Stairs, try to take the trophy, and with such low time, that makes the power of the Legion, should it work, all that much better. So, to Tiopi, able to get that kill. Good job, as you very well turned the round in your favor. But the setup overall from Crest certainly did a lot of work. Dining also going their way. They will not go back to office. They will not go barn games. They will go down to the basement. Try things out.
Well, got the TCSG or the Vector on here, Claire? We got the TCSG. Very nice. Never know nowadays with your Goyos, right? So everybody's...
People like one thing, people like the other.
Yeah, exactly. You're allowed to have an opinion, unless it's wrong.
True. Then we'll have problems.
Yeah, then we'll have problems. You got to take the TCSG on Kaid. That's just how it is.
Oh yeah.
Og nowadays.
Too slow for me.
That's what I'm saying. Especially when you can take a shotgun that shoots slugs and you have to hit somebody like twice. It's pretty sick. So, seen a lot of really cool moments with that thing over the years. And actually, fun fact, ladies and gents, Ninjas in Pajamas was actually the originator of the TCS G12 all the way back at SI 2020, where they were gattling everybody with that thing on both respective sides. So, looks like Psycho's going to be the first one to take a duel, and it's kind of funny because he's on Habana of all things, but he's still going to win it out. Tiopi feeling a little active from his earlier antics, won't be able to get too much going on the garage side, all except for a little damage.
I mean, this is the concern with what Crest have been trying to go for in these defenses. They're running into NIP players. Sure, Psycho's on low HP, but Lua dead. He's been the guy, even in previous games, before Crest decided to shift their playstyle a bit, who gets aggressive, and now he's getting punished for it. Tiopi, low HP as well. They've done some damage to the Hibana, sure, but Crest are really getting punished for a lot of these individual plays. But now they've moved back to the bomb site, and with a minute 30 to go, they're in a man disadvantage, sure, but NIP, we always say they're slow. There's still players on the second floor for NIP. They're still droning out the first floor with half the round to go. You have plenty of time just to sit on the bomb site, hold your angles, bait out utility from NIP, and prep your positions.
This brings up something that I was talking to Jacob earlier. I was talking to him about way back in the day. I was trying to qualify for SI 2017 for the open bracket, and I lost in round of 16 to Redeemer and everybody, right? Redeemer, Ghost, some other guys. Dude, the difference in droning was like the biggest thing that I noticed at that moment in time. I was like, this info game is ridiculous. And that's the thing that I noticed with Ninjas in Pajamas. They are so willing to double check and triple check things to make sure that there wasn't something that Crest had building up later on into the round. It's so beautiful.
And that intel's got to be strong here because Whiskey's sitting on the opposite side of this cabinet. Oh, he's spotted by Psycho and now finished off by Khans. So they know he's there. The positions they need to worry about, you'd think, would be the breach, the connector, that area. But there is one roamer now. Crest moving up to the top floor. Somebody who could go for that retake. Tiopi over by Blue. It's a 2v3 on the site. Who can deny this plant by Cons? Tiopi opens up the blue angle as Wizard pushes down. Diffuser now dropped on the floor. Pino in the 1v3. 2 players on reduced HP. Knows one's in blue, but gets tagged out as he's moving backwards. Crest begin to mount to come back on this defense. It might just be wide open now.
Very well done from Crest. And honestly, not something that we were looking forward to when it came to their offensive set. There was a couple of things that weren't really patched up too well, but these defenses are starting to build. And Ninjas in Pajamas, not nearly as exploitative as we would expect them to be on the offensive side of Chalet. You know, usually when we look at this map, we talk about how fantastic it is, especially for angles, and that's Ninjas in Pajamas' bread and butter. But right now, it's not working out for them.
No, now that Crest are starting to thread that needle a little bit more. We saw that huge aggression early on in the round, and they get punished for it. And I think they realized, all right, let's just back up. Let's back up a bit. NIP are going to take some time, and once NIP decided to go for a snowmobile breach, the biggest issue was Wizard and Blue, right? But Tiopi makes a good decision. I'll retake flank behind, and you swing from the inside of Blue from one side. We should be able to get this guy, and then denying the plant is a little bit easier. So good recognition from Crest in that moment to make that round work a little bit more in their favor. Now down to Bar and Games. Just one more win will tie things up. 5-5 for Crest. And I mean, already at this point, I'd consider this anybody's game if Crest can continue this momentum. But then, can't deny it.
And you know, I think this is the perfect time to say this as well. Ninjas in Pajamas are honestly not playing up to the caliber of play across this tournament that we would expect out of them.
No, I mean,
you know,
Oregon against Sandbox yesterday.
Yeah.
That alone speaks for that.
Yeah, and honestly, like, it's really interesting because it just seems like some of their pacing and some of, like, it's just like these micro decisions that happen. It isn't even like some overarching thing where it's like, oh, well, they're doing this poorly, right? They're still playing true to themselves. They're playing their timings. They're doing these things. It just comes down to these certain crunch moments where everything is falling apart for them. And this isn't just in this series. We've seen this throughout this entire tournament so far.
I think the group matchups end up being a little bit problematic for them. I mean, Sandbox on their Oregon defenses, Crest right now, though not so much on the starting of these defenses, but they're starting to figure it out. But Geeke, specifically against NIP, they're not giving them those easy openings. Even on Bank, where you need to roam, where you need to hold heavily, Geeke weren't running in front of NIP angles being held. They were stalling enough time on the aggression, but then not overplaying their hand. And Sireneko has really been the only guy, Sireneko and Lua, to move beyond sort of the stronghold for Crest on the defensive bomb sites. But aside from that, NIP aren't finding these openings as often as it seemed like they might at the start of this attacking side.
Yeah, especially with the Dokkaebi in the lineup. Like, that was the thing on Bank where it was like, this could just help them so much with their clear, but as of right now, it hasn't really been doing all that much for them. Some stuns out, some other things in tow for Ninjas in Pajamas, but all silent past that. No real damage dealt to either team. Crest have been able to rest on all of this utility, and there's still quite a bit of it. Yeah, there's a Nitro Cell out from Whiskey, but you have Razor Blooms to worry about, all these goo mines still in the pocket. Actually, speaking of which, Lua, why do you have 5 goo mines in your pocket?
He's saving them up for a rainy day. To throw at anybody might come his way. Who knows, though. But the map control has pretty much been ceded by Crest. I will say Eclair backs off very quickly. Tiopi found on the Thorn, who's playing Library earlier. I was going to say with the control, Crest were still holding. NIP will have very low time, but Crest all back off at about a minute left. Really banking on NIP to stall themselves out, not to find any more picks. But look at Psycho. He knows, or at least has an idea that Sireneko might be flanking. He's been so individual, and the Brava's watching. The Brava's waiting. Can he find the kill? Muzi looking the wrong way. Still a disadvantage now. Sireneko's position. No, he checks the wrong position. Opportunity now gone for NIP, but it's a 2v4 on the site. Psycho tries to hit, but gets a bit too quick. Whiskey takes down the both in stock. Pino's got to pick up the pieces again, but there's too many players to deal with. He checks the prone angle in stock, but the shotgun's too strong. Crest tie it up. They've got a chance now, Sam, to take this map.
Nip just aren't pushing.
They're not.
They're just not executing. They're not setting up and just going for things. And that is the, legitimately, we found it. We found the crux of the issue. Ninjas in Pajamas, no matter what happens, they will only go about things in the last 10 seconds, and they just need to get to the point where when they have the setup ready to execute, Carter, they hit the big red button, and they do it. Because it's almost like you have all the tools to, so might be a good idea. That's all I'm saying.
And now, I was
frustrated.
I was thinking at 5-4. All right, if we're not taking it right now, it's got to be 5-5. If they lose, they have to take the tack timeout. And indeed, that's exactly what happens because now it was a fantasy at 5-2. Like, oh, okay, maybe they come back, maybe whatever, right? It wasn't a likely proposition. Now, this is your map pick. This is not like Sandbox. I mean, more rounds have been played in this game than on Sandbox Chalet yesterday.
You're legitimately, the thing that's so frustrating for me right now with these defenses that we see Nip playing into is that they're essentially waiting for Crest to punish them.
They are.
They're just like, I'm just going to stand here and wait to see if somebody roams and shoots me in the back of the head. Oh my God, I'm dead.
Well, and to be fair, they had the right idea. They knew somebody might flank. They knew Cyrenaica might flank on that top floor, but he's looking the wrong way, right? So is he checking the wrong spot? Yeah, that's fine. Like, that's going to happen, whatever. But even then, the slow time, the slow pace for NIP, it's almost built into the play style. When they win the fights, when the defenders are in positions they expect, NIP are able to win it. When there is that variable, when there is something, that's when NIP, it gets closer to 50-50 instead of 70-30 of the kinds of rounds, the probabilities that they have at winning it. And Crest have been able to play patient enough or hit those flanks, hit those moments that happen in a map where you think to yourself, you're Muzi, God, if I was only looking left instead of right. It's that timing that sometimes happens in games that you can't control that is now just barely pushing Crest over the edge on back of slowly developing, slowly getting better on these defenses against NIP that now, if they fix, if NIP can get this figured out, they'll get match point.
I'm going to stick with my theory here and say that they're not going to. I think this is either going to be a 7-5 or an OT victory.
You're putting your money on the Crest comeback? You're putting them on Crest match point?
Yeah, and the reason being is exactly what I was talking about. I genuinely think that Ninjas in Pajamas, although like we have highlighted like their ability to bare teeth at the proper moments,
yes,
they're doing the exact opposite right now. They have completely lost the accelerator. They don't know where the shifter is, and it's like I really hope this tactical timeout shakes them because that's exactly what they need. This is not how Ninjas in Pajamas should be playing.
And the performance as well. I mean, Khan's obviously putting up numbers, but Muzi certainly not having the best day. Pino not putting up. I mean, 6-6 is fine, but
he just hasn't had a great tournament. Pino's tournament has been pretty bad.
No. I mean, we've seen some good things, right? But yes, you're correct. It's not been overall great, and the stat lines aren't terrible. We're all close to even, but nobody on NIP is really showing up. Nobody is on this attacking half, especially getting them over the line, or pulling them over the line, or really saying, I showed up to play.
I was going to say, I will say this, talking about like stat lines and stuff like that, Pino might not have had the greatest stat lines yesterday, but Wizard is looking a lot better today.
I will
say that. I will 100% say that about them, but it's just so frustrating because you expect Ninjas in Pajamas to be able to see things decently clearly up against what Crest is doing, because Crest isn't doing anything unorthodox. This isn't outside the box. This is supposed to be happening, especially with these rotations that are coming through and are punishing Ninjas in Pajamas. It's something to expect.
And check out this setup from Crest. We just saw it a minute and a half. They fall back from the library side. NIP now droning to find this information. So this is going to be about 15, 20, maybe 30 more seconds. But they need to clear this utility, and what's awaiting for them? The Mira. Whiskey's playing this Mira, and this is the exact operator, probably NIP's nightmare when they go for these late executes. If they don't have time to deal with these Mira windows, if they don't have time to clear these positions, that's what makes the defense fare a lot better when NIP try to make their executes work.
And you can see Crest going back to what we had seen previously, just slowing things down, keeping the C4s down low, like you said. And this is exactly what you want, because once again, like I was touching on, Nip is going to wait until the last 10 seconds. This is what I wanted the tag timeout to fix, Carter, and I don't think we're going to get it.
No. NIP, they recognize what's going on. You can see them realize. Pino opens that hole in the wall, maybe try to use that nade later, but he's dead. Lou is able to get the kill. The C4s will likely remain alive down below unless there's the quickest reaction and the biggest of luck from NIP. Breaches on the wall open. Khans will try to move in for the plant. The coverage needs to be solid. The C4s need to miss. So many factors need to go NIP's way, and Lua just knows it before the round even began. It's an advantage for NIP. They'll try to recover. Eclair with the C4. Wizards able to get him, but they have intel. Can they land it? 10 seconds remaining. It has to land, and indeed it will. 1v1 essentially with Wizard putting the bomb on the floor, but he's Goomine. It's going to be so close to the wire. Will he have the intel? Eclair down below. He's got the piece. He's got match point for Crest. 1 round away from taking a pick from NIP that seemed destined for their victory.
All right, can I get on my soapbox?
Stand up on the soapbox.
I will do it right now.
Hold on,
I'm actually going to stand on my chair. I'm on the soapbox,
May begin.
So listen, here's the thing. If you really want to plant in that area, Carter, the most important thing is dining. How the hell do we not drone it? How the hell do we not know 2 people are down there with nitro cells in such a pivotal position? And then not only that, you're going to send 1 person down there to do it. That's piss poor. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well,
That's not what. And again, the only reason I'm frustrated and that I'm genuinely angry with Ninjas in Pajamas is because this is a star-studded lineup. This should not be happening.
And it's frustrating as well because you can see the recognition from NIP. They know what they need to do.
Bad.
Pino goes down below. He says, "Oh my God, they can C4 us at this plant spot. They have dining control. They can do it if they want." But you know the problem?
Yeah.
Time. There's no time to deal with it.
We're wasting so much time on this offense. They're just like, we actually cannot do anything unless it's sub-minute. And I'm so lost as to why this is the way.
But to Crest credit, they figured it out.
They did.
That lineup, everything there. Did it come down to the wire? And was it still a 1v2 man advantage for NIP? Yes, but they figured it out. They said, this team is going to be so slow. If we pull back at a minute 30 and sit inside the site, NIP are going to take like 45 seconds to get in position. And dining guys, nobody's countered you yet, right? Yeah, nobody's countered us. All right, just stay there. Just use those C4s. We're fine. We have the winning setup, and Crest know this at this point. Their map pick is next. This is not their pick that they might get. This is NIP's pick, and they are one round away from taking it in regulation.
And then we're going to put Cons on a shield and potentially our last round on regulation.
I know he's the shield guy, but this is our only man positive at the moment. We've seen him play Ash yesterday against Sandbox when things were down to the wire on Oregon. And they put him on the shield?
I'm such a disgruntled father right now.
You are.
Carter just sees me with my hands on my hips right now, folks. This is like, oh, man.
Okay, I know Wizard's putting up better numbers, but you have Wizard or Cons, and you put Cons on the shield, and he's the only dude positive? Why not give Cons the IQ? I know it's different roles, but still, either way.
Cons does it all, though, and that's the one thing we've been constantly singing his praises about. Ninjas in Pajamas, I definitely think that they have the gusto to push this to OT. We just need to see them be a little bit more lethal around this 130 mark. We cannot let this get to sub-minute and not really have any inkling of what is going on in the pivotal portions of the map that our site is, banking on being successful in.
But remember this round, remember this dining attack, right? Because they got up in these walls extremely quickly, but then they sent the Monty all the way through the top floor and then down Solar Stairs. And NIP ended up losing this round because, again, there was no time to react from late round positions held by Crest. Cons is now down below. They might instead be looking for a plant through short, perhaps?
Well, the beauty is that there is no smoke for Crest. So they have some nitro cells that they're going to have to try and deal with, but I do think that Nip can reconcile with that. So much Valkyrie information, as well as Whiskey trying to hold on to things here at the back of Kitchen. Cons trying his best to try and find a position to plant here. Some utility up top. Cons is going to take a little bit of damage, especially from that nitro cell. But now with the sub-minute here, plant starting, some verticality cover. This is looking nice for Nip. I think they've at least got this. He's going to fall off.
Back off.
I think that he just walked into something there. I don't know exactly what just happened to him, but he's dead to rights. No shield to cover the planter.
No shield at all.
There's a flanker. There's a flanker on main.
And a case dropped inside of the site. NIP aren't watching. Wizard, the Finka, they're so focused forward.
Oh no.
He's right in front of the breach. Is there this flanker? Is it going to hit? Eclair's got one. Cyreneco's got the call. Cyreneco's got the kill. Muzi now on half HP. Pino's got to push forward. They've got to recover. It's one gun left alive for NIP as Muzi pushes forward right into the shotgun. Whiskey doesn't miss his man. Muzi doesn't either. Pino last alive so many times. Can he save it now? Can he be lethal in the clutch? Can he win the pick? Can he get the last kill with 3 seconds left? This is not the NIP, you know. This is not the NIP against Sandbox. This is NIP now down 1-0 on Elimination Series.